I'm Jordan.
I'm Matt. Welcome to BoredEngineers.
Cool keychain? That's garbage. This is a cool keyring.
We're going to start the square hammerhead by cutting off this 1.5 by 1.5 square bar. 1.5 inches long is what we're going to cut off. We're going to use this hacksaw with a bimetal blade on it to cut. This allows for minimal tool use to keep it economical for you. So whenever you're starting this, just make sure you push straight through consistently so you can get a nice groove started. You don't want to slide over the place and get a weird shaped head. So and after you get started, then you can just start on through.
Remember, your hacksaw only cuts on the push stroke. Save use on your hacksaw blade, make it last a little longer. This will take a minute. We'll pick back up once he's almost through. No cheating here. We're working all the way through with the hacksaw. We applied some of our good friend, the cutting lubricant, and we're still going through it.
Make sure you cut all the way through to allow for a clean end.
Alright, so we threw some real fast chalk lines on there just to go ahead and put a center mark on it. You've got a normal center punch. This is just going to help you drill your hole straight. So as you can see, that just leaves the slightest little indentation. Now we're going to throw it on the drill press. We're just going to go ahead and finish drilling this hole out. Get a pair of vice grips on it to make it a little safer and to avoid some of the heat. And we just finished the way through the hole.
We're going to continue working on the square head, typically known as Thor Hammer. We're going to start mushrooming it. Use a pair of pliers. I like using a pair of vice grips because it gives continued control. So we're just going to start beating it to mushroom it out.
This is a plain, mild steel. You want to flip it over for consistency. We're using a fairly poor quality anvil, so flipping it over will even out your hammer strokes and give you a better, more uniform finish.
And important when you're swinging, you're not trying to swing hard, you're just trying to get a nice solid strike down on your working material.
As you can see, the end is upset. The very edge is larger than the center was originally to start with. We're just going to carry this on until it's to the look we want. And as you can see, as I described earlier, the center hole is deformed. Don't worry about that. We'll clean it up at the end.
Now we're going to start filing these edges. As you deformed it, you're going to create these sharp edges from this and cutting. So what you want to do is you just want to give it a nice, even file, just to kind of knock those sharp edges down. File till you desire your final finish.
Okay, so for our handle material, we're going to use this 1/4 inch round stock. We're going to cut it 3 inches long. That'll give you enough to go through the head of the hammer and flatten out the eye for your key ring. So we'll go ahead and we'll get that cut and we'll come back to you. Okay, so we're going to cold work this taper in. This is going to be a little tricky. So we're going to flatten this end out later. So clamp your vice grips down good and hard. I've got a normal ball peen hammer. if you can tell, this has a slight radius to it. That's going to help us remove hammer marks and keep a more uniform finish. So here we go. You're going to hit this with quite a bit of force to really get it to taper down. You're not going to get this perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's going inside the hammerhead. You'll never see it. You just need to decrease the diameter. So if you can tell, I'm already starting to get a down taper, but I'm also working in flats, so I'll have to plenish that out as I go around. Alright, so here we go, drilling out that hole we had started earlier. Once again, we want to make sure we've got a good firm hold on this.
After we drilled the hole, as you can see with a 3/16 hole I started in this, it barely starts. We want to make sure we can get it in a ways, because once we drive this in, it is in and you're not going to be able to get it back out. So we want to make sure we're solid.
We're going to go ahead and taper this down a little bit further by hand. We'll come back when we get that finished.
What I did, because we don't have high-tech equipment here, we're going to mark the hole depth, which we picked halfway through the material to allow so we don't have to taper as much. So what you want to do, you want to get it started, and then go down to your tape mark. Once you get your tape mark, you're done. This helps so you don't have to taper as much, and it allows you to get a nice finish. You'll never ever see that bore. On this one, I wanted to go for an aggressive head, a very large head once we hammer it down. So I have an extra amount of material protruding through. We'll show different scenarios on the other ones. So what I want to do is I'm going to stick this through this hole.
The hardy hole of the anvil, as it's called.
Then we're going to seat it. And wait till you hear a solid sound like that. And you'll be protruded through.
So we're going to go ahead and take that and we're going to peen it over, and we'll show you how to do that. Alright, so this is going to be a little tricky. I've got the handle down through the hardy hole here, and I'm going to use the round end of the ball peen to start to try to flare that out. What I don't want to do is drive it back out the other side. So as I get a little ways through this, I might have to flip it over and drive it back in. But as you can see, by using this round part and hitting on the different sides of the peen, I'm starting to get a very large mushroom shape. I'm just going to carry this on until I have a large head about where I like it, and then I'll flip the hammer over and use the back side to really drive it in, and that's what we wanted to avoid. So I'm going to drive that back in, not a problem, and keep on what I was doing. Oh, well, now that we got that hammered down, we got a little over carried away with the amount of material we had out the top. So we're going to go ahead and straighten that handle out after having the head peened down.
Straighten out to desire. This one I kind of want to leave a little rustic, so it's not going to be perfectly straight. So basically straighten to what you want, because nobody's going to want the same thing. See, I liked a little bit of extra shape in this one.
Go ahead and show them the top peen of that. Show them how nice that rivet looks. Alright, so we're continuing this cold work hammer. We're going to go ahead and flatten out this end for the key ring slot. So we're going to pick up, instead of this round concave hammer, we're going to grab a nice flat hammer. Grab something else. Okay, so we've picked a hammer with a much flatter face. We're going to go ahead and flatten this out nice and cold. Still no heat needed. Go ahead. I'm going to flip it over because we're working on a real cheap hammer. That'll get nicer down so you keep your flat cut spot nice and centered. So you can see without a whole lot of effort, he's able to flatten that. You want to get this pretty flat. The flatter it is, the better it's going to be to slide on your keyring.
And check how you want to orientate it to your keys.
Alright, so we got that nice and flat after this little bit of work. He's going to radius off all those sharp edges.
And smooth the face.
Smooth it out, and specifically these corners right here, he's going to give those a nice smooth radius. That's going to be important when putting it on and off of your keyring. So we'll come back to you when he's all done hand filing. Okay, so we're down to the final step, and the final step is to put this hole in it. So what we've done in the in-between process is we went ahead and pinned all of our hammers together. This was our original we started with. So we flattened out the ends, and then we've also radiused the ends. So the next step is to put this hole. I found that an 11/32 works pretty good. Couple steps over an 1/8 inch seems to work best. 1/8 inch just isn't quite big enough to fit over most key rings, so we want to use something a little bigger. Now the other key is you want to get it as close to this edge of the material as you can, so that your key ring's a little easier to fit in. So I'm probably going to end up putting this one about right there, just kind of a judgment call. Whatever you think works best. We'll lay one out here real quick and come back with the center punch mark. Here's our finished product. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks.